Welcome everybody to the stream. My name is Jose. This is Kendo Tips, and today we're going to be watching some Kendo ippons, analyzing them, trying to figure out what can we learn for ourselves. And at the same time, this is a good place for you to ask questions, share your thoughts, and if you're struggling with something, we can talk about it and try to figure it out. So, welcome to the stream. Please let me know that you're here by either sending a message or hitting the like button in the video, because it really helps the stream to get pushed out to more people out there. And we want Kendo to be a little bit more popular, right? So just let me know you're here by doing one of those things. And so today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to finish watching the ippon compilation that we were watching on the last stream last week. But then, because it's gonna be little time left in that video, transitioning to some Hachidan ippon, which I think it's going to be an interesting contrast. So we get to see some of that stuff. So Kuruma Bakka, welcome. Thank you for passing by. Thank you for being here on the stream from Canada. That's awesome. Matt, hi, Contreras Sensei. You don't have to call me Sensei. You can just call me Jose. You know, like not trying to be, so serious about things, I guess. Have a couple of, I guess, updates or news or whatever, like events, things like that. This week I was able to attend an intramural university competition. So it was kind of cool to see how they do how they do the competitions, like between guys and girls university. So it was pretty cool because everybody gets equal grounds, and what they were doing is that for when guys were fighting girls, they will give an automatic ippon to the girls, so it kind of made it a little bit tougher on the guys to kind of like make sure that they match up. If they wanted to win the fight, they have to get 2 ippons, right? So very, very cool experience. University kendo is very athletic, but at the same time, it's you can start seeing a lot of technique, right? Like the use of technique in university. So it was an interesting experience for me. What else? And Andy from Kendo Star and the Fisher Sensei, he sent me a bogu to review, a bogu that we've been working on for a little while. So hopefully I can make that video coming up within the next couple of weeks. And I think you guys asked me a couple of, I got many messages when it comes to some of the Kendo Star bogu, especially for the custom made set. So this guy, I think it's called the Predator, something like this, which is a custom made set. So I'll if you guys have any questions about it, you can start sending my way, and I can include them in the video. So that'll be awesome. Which, by the way, if you would like to connect with other Kendo people, the Discord server for Kendo Tips should be popping up in the chat in a second. There you go. So that way you can, send me a message there. I'm pretty good at replying there. And if you want to connect with Kendo people around the world, it's a great place. And if you'd like to support the stream, you can do so by becoming a member. You get a couple of extra perks, and the link is in the chat. Okay, so how about we start watching some Kendo? Now that I ramble a little bit. Okay, so my theme in the past couple of streams has been about the moment of attacking. Why should we attack? So I've been getting a lot of questions about when should we attack, and I mentioned in my last week's stream, that one thing that I'm starting to get away from is avoiding thinking about that perfect moment, that I have to find that perfect moment and when is the right time for me to go. But instead I'm starting to think in a way of saying, why should I attack, right? Like, is there an opening, or was there an opening and it's closing, and so on. And for me, it has been great when it comes to anticipating and feeling a little bit more that I'm not lagging between the opening and going. Of course, like I do still lag, I still hesitate and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is that the mentality of why should I attack rather than being when kind of is helping me see things in a different way, and I just want to share that with you. So I'll try to do so during the stream as best as I can. Okay, so let's see. So for example, talking about why should I attack, right? And I think that we often catch ourselves in positions like this where you're kind of a little bit too close, and there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of hesitation. And if you see White attacks, he tries to maybe go for a kote, but he gets tangled up on the shinai. Then because of the distance, he tries to go around for a man and his opponent blocks it. And at this point, for example, I think you should attack in the sense of you don't want to be caught off guard, but I think it should be more of an attacking to kind of like just, keep yourself safe, rather than there's going to be an opportunity. Of course, it could be an opportunity, but at this point, you see he's tried to go back. I don't know. This maybe he didn't, I don't think he really saw an opening, but maybe the tension is what caused him to attack. And I think that could have been a good response in the sense that it's a way for him to stay safe. I think this is a very cool ippon in the sense of how Red played with timing, right? If you watch, puts pressure, comes in, and then he gets a reaction from the opponent, but didn't quite get a big reaction, right? So instead he comes and gives a little bit more pressure. Now he gets a bigger reaction, and at this point he goes for that kote. I discussed this in my last stream, but I think that the first person to move is going to be the first person to move is going to have a little bit of an edge because it's causing a reaction. The point is not to be just blindly attacking, just blindly coming in, but you want to be the first person initiating the conversation. So that way, when the person is moving, it's going to be because you provoke them. And in this sense, you can start understanding how to anticipate the opening and take an opportunity. So I think this is very good. Very good playing with the timing in order to get an opportunity, because Red came in and caused a reaction, and then he took advantage of that reaction. Hope that makes sense. Very cool. Let me catch up with some of the comments. Kevin, welcome. Thank you for passing by. Welcome to the stream. Discipline, you prefer the logic of when to attack. Again, thank you for sharing that. Everybody, this is what we're doing here, trying to share our points. Let me see why. Is your center line exposed and I am in Uchima where I can successfully do my wasa? So it's funny you saying that you prefer the logic of when to attack, but you're telling me points about why should I attack, because you're saying is their center line exposed. So this is a reason of why you should attack, right? But when it's about when is that moment happening, right? So yes, you need both, because you need timing and you need to understand the the reaction and so on. But this is the point that I'm trying to say. So should you attack or should you not in the face of what is the opponent giving you at that moment, right? So obviously, if the opponent is open and you initiate an attack, most likely you will not succeed because the opponent will then close that as you're approaching, right? So the point is trying to get the reaction as you're coming in, as if we saw this last ippon, right? So if you watch here, Red puts pressure, and this is not the moment to attack, right? But he's anticipating that the opponent is going to be scared, and from that, he decides to start his technique and then coming in, right? So his opponent didn't have the opening at this point. What I'm trying to say is that his opponent did not have the opening that he was going to take at this point, but because he anticipates that fear or that reaction from his opponent, he decides to engage in the technique and then comes in. Yes, you could argue that he needs to figure out when was this going to happen, but specifically for me, if you start thinking, okay, is the opening there? And if I think about the opening at this point, it's already too late, right? But in my mind, I'm saying, okay, I need to attack because I feel that he's going to be afraid. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments, because this is, I think, a very hot topic and something that a lot of us benefit from. So, Matt, how do you measure Yomai when going against Yoda or Nito? You feel like you always have to whiff once or twice against their kote to really step in. Where are my little shenanigans? Hold on. Oh, give me 1 second. I don't know what my little shenanigans are. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay. That was quick. Okay. So when you're in Kamae with another Chudan player, you have a little bit of better understanding of distance, right? Because you can feel it. But a lot of people also tend to take a little bit for granted. And, sometimes they come too close or they attack from way too far. Obviously, when you have Nito or Jodan player, you don't have that communication. You don't have that connection. So it's important for you to understand your reach, but also understand their reach as well. How do I say this? So if you same as if you're in Kamae against a Chudan player, if you attack from this distance, most likely they'll see it coming, right? So if you attack from the same distance as the sword is up, same thing. So you do have to create that pressure where you can come in. Now, this is assuming that you are going to be doing Shikake Wasa, right? So most likely you're going to come in for an opening that's there. Most likely it's going to be Kote or Tsuki, because obviously their men is not exposed. But you also have to play against Jordan because, granted, they tend to be more aggressive, or they have to be more aggressive if they want to get a Nippon, right? They have to bring that sword down for a Nippon. Anticipating or creating the reaction where they can either feel comfortable or they need to feel pressure that they have to attack. And in that sense, they're giving the distance for you, right? Because if they're coming in for that man, you can do Suriage or you can do, the Banamen and so on. In order for you to start getting an understanding of that distance, I think that has to happen. You have to understand how to get them to bring the sword down. And a lot of times when you have a big distance, maybe you feel safe, but you also have to understand that they might have the reach because they can switch their foot, they can extend, and so on. But the farther away they attack from, the more chances you have of actually seeing the technique coming and being able to deflect it. Does that answer your question, or you have a more specific question? Let me know. Yeah, that's what we're here for. Let's see this real quick. So you see here again, why did White attack, right? He didn't have an opening. Maybe it could have been a good moment, a good timing to attack, but obviously he didn't go on the right way for it, right? Like there could be other techniques. So this is another point of why I'm saying why to attack rather than when to attack, is because I truly think that this was a good time for White to execute a technique. But obviously the technique that he chose to was not open, right? So for example, maybe he could have pushed the angle of the kote and maybe get a kote, but maybe Yakudo, right? Like or just do at this point. Sorry, there's an ambulance going around, so I don't know if you guys can hear it. But one of the things that you want to, be from this position, maybe he had an opportunity to come for do, but he didn't go at it that way. I think timing was right. It's just that the technique wasn't correct or wasn't appropriate, right, for that moment. Now, this exchange here with Akote, right here, it was a little bit late, right? Because both of them hesitated in a different way. So White came in, he exposed the Kote. He was trying to do something else, obviously. Red saw it, but at this point, it was already too late, and he decides to attack. So here's, I think, where the when has a little bit more meaning to it, because the opportunity passed, right? You saw the opportunity that was there. Most likely, the opponent is going to be able to retake that center if you didn't attack before. Ooh. So, you can't really see it because of the Shimpan being in the middle of the way, but you can understand it, right? That Red took the opportunity on the way back because White didn't quite close the distance, wasn't quite engaged after the technique. This is a very common mistake when you attack from too far, right? Like, you know you missed, but you try to recover, but you're quite not engaged. Pull the hands back. Actually, this is something that a sensei told me a few weeks back. You know, after you attack, don't get in the habit of pulling your hands back, because this is something that could happen to you. If you attack and you're trying to kind of recover your posture, but you're pulling your hands back, you're disengaging into the fight, and you give your opponent an opportunity to strike. Just what happened here, right? That's something. I think this is a technique, or this is an approach that you should try to how do I say this? You should try to put in your repertoire without having that feeling that you're going to go back, right? Because in this sense, Red put pressure, and White is trying to return that pressure. You see, like, there's like a little bit of a fight there in that pressure, and then White decides to come in. Red dodges, right? But instead of dodging and dropping his guard, instead he transitions. Wait. He transitions into a Hikiwasa. Very clean, as Matt is saying. Yeah, very clean. So let me catch up with some of the scums, guys. Kuruma, you said you always try to close the distance quickly against Jordan so you won't be a sitting duck. Yeah, that's something that it's a must, and kind of like what happened here, right? Like, if you don't have that, you know, that pressure forward, you are at risk of getting hit. Discipline. Wade took the tip off Red after the man attempt, and that left him open for the Red's Hikiman. So White took the tip off Red. Yeah. So he pulled the hands back, right? Like, that's what I was saying. Like, he went in for that attack, and then right after he just brought the sword back. It's like, it's not that he took the tip off; he took the intention off. Because if you look at Red has the tip off, but the intention is on the opponent, right? Right? He just completely just pulled back, and he kind of was. You can see it just because of the diminishing of speed, right? Like, he comes in with power. Wait a second. He comes in with power, but then immediately, as he's pulling back, he's slowing himself down, right? Where normally you see when people do men, you know, they kind of just stumble in, right? Like, they just kind of like fall into the opponent. But here he's trying to hold himself back, where he should have just let it happen, just like a regular men practice, right? I think would have been a better result for him. the screen was a little bit too low. Let me see, you guys see it good? Okay, perfect. That's such a clean man. And you see here, he fell victim, White fell victim of the same problem, right? He came in, he threw a technique, but he didn't follow through with it. And Red brought the sword up, engaged into the technique immediately. You want to always have the feeling that you're going to continue for another technique, because at the very least, it will keep you safe from moments like this. You want to train yourself to think, I'm not going to stop after I throw a technique. I want to have connection and communicate. You want to have connection and continuation from your first movement all the way until you're back safe. So don't just stop after you throw a technique. And I'm guilty of that many times, and something that I know it takes a lot of time and effort to get over with. It takes a lot of time and effort to get over it, and you have to be very conscious, especially if you created this habit, but it is possible, okay? So just when you're training, always try to be engaged and keep fighting all the way until you're back in Kamae, back safe. Don't just simply disengage. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so this was this whole video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass now into Hachidan Ippon compilation. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. Wait, hold on, it's not. Oh. Okay. Let me see, where is it? Okay, I guess I didn't do this for the last video, but what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to put in the chat the link for the video we're watching. Okay. Okay. And here we are. Okay, so this video is from the All Japan Kendo Federation as well. So I like this type of ippons because it kind of shows a little bit more of the communication and the pressure between the competitors, and it's a little bit calmer, so it's a little bit easier, I guess, to break down, right? So let's watch a little bit of this. Okay, so I think that as you practice more and more with senseis, you start understanding more how is it that they're doing, how they're giving their pressure. And if you watch just a couple of frames, you can see it from the hakama, you can see it from the shoulders. I'm gonna play little by little, and you'll see. You see this little motion right here was enough for him to start feeling that he's coming in, creating a little bit of momentum. And you see, he comes in and creates a sense of nervousness, right, from White. And he decided to not attack, but unfortunately, because of that pressure built up, Terachi Sensei, White, he tried to take control of the sword, kind of overdid it, and gave that opportunity to Red. So it's that build up tension, right? Because if you look at it, it's nothing too flashy, right? He just closed the distance, and as he closed the distance, this pressure, this tension built up that caused Terachi Sensei to overextend his shinai. So a lot of times you don't have to be all like, all jumpy and things like that. Just by closing that distance and keeping that tension towards the opponent, it's enough to create an opening for you. Oh. So in this one, you see, White, Tadachi Sensei, decides to come and give pressure. And at that time, Red, instead of getting nervous, decided to, I'm gonna go. And anticipated his attack with a degote. So on White, we have Kunitomo, Rentaro Kunitomo's father from Fukuoka. It's very cool. Oh, I was rooting for him, but that man. So I think I always like to keep this in mind, that degote, it's very risky, right? Sorry, I actually said that in the last stream. We saw an exchange, and he throws a very nice degote. I think he had good timing on it, but the distance wasn't favorable for him and the angle wasn't favorable. So it became very risky, and Red was able to get a clean man when he couldn't get a clean tote. I wish we could have seen it from different angle though. Sorry. Oh. So I think this happens a lot to us at the dojo, where you're trying to build up pressure, you're trying to build up pressure, and as you approach, you pretty much do nothing, and then Sensei takes advantage of that and you get score on, you get hit by a man. And a lot of times it happens when you're trying to focus so much on that pressure that you kind of not really engage into just attacking. If you watch this, right? White is approaching step by step, which is good, but then the engagement on the hands is not quite there, and the engagement on the back leg to push forward kind of wasn't there either, right? He comes in, steps in, and it's more like he stopped and then re-engages the back leg. And at that point, Red decides to come in and start moving the body and just transition into an ippon. Does that make sense? You see, the difference between, you can even see it on how White has his back leg bent. Red is sliding the body in, and he keeps the engagement to go forward. White, up to this point, still hasn't really pushed with that back leg. So pretty much he was, I'm not gonna say flat-footed, but he was kind of standing in one place as Red created momentum. So you have to always keep that tension on the back leg ready to go forward, and you should use it to always constantly put pressure and constantly have the body even slightly in motion, so you can just explode at the moment you need it. So I'm going to say the fact that he tensed up the hands with the tip away and also didn't really engage the back leg is what cost the ippon. A lot of times we look at what can we do to get a reaction or to get an opening from our opponent, but sometimes you also have to be open to the possibility that your opponent is going to open for you, and you have to be ready. So that back leg engagement is crucial if you want to be able to take advantage of this type of opportunities. I feel like I said that too quick. So, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I think this is a very common thing that happens to us during practice, and hopefully by keeping in mind that back leg will help you kind of diminish that from happening. Oh, we have a Jordan fight. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. Who was it? Matt. If you're still here, maybe we can break down some of this Jordan fight. So let's watch the ippon. Let's watch interaction first. Oh, so okay. Let's watch this one more time. And let's watch it in slow motion. Wow, that sword control is pretty awesome, right? So it's crucial to keep your sword in the center and the tip towards the opponent. It's kind of hard against Jordan right now, right? Sorry. I think the distance was pretty good. But I feel that what ends up happening here is that he didn't really engage into an attack. More like he's just sliding in. I don't know if that makes sense. So instead of I think his footwork is good for it. He just didn't want to put pressure on the hands. So the Jordan player was able to kind of capitalize on it and kind of squeeze in between that little space right there to get that man. You also got to remember that it's very tricky if you have somebody that's a good Jordan player, because remember, even if you're closing the distance, it doesn't mean that they have to advance. If you watch Red right now, he's doing Fumikomi pretty much in place, right? And then kind of driving through the body forward. I always find cool to watch that doesn't matter how far or how close a good player does Fumikomi, both feet leave the ground. So if you watch this, you see he pushes with so much force on the back foot that both feet leave the ground. It's not that he's stomping with the right foot and then dragging the back leg forward. He's bringing that back leg immediately, even when he's not really moving far or moving forward, right? And I think that gives a little bit of extra power on that strike. So watch it. See? And then he immediately pushes forward to drive through. This is a habit, guys, by the way. This is something that you have to create the habit. Pushing with your back leg to that point where it's a fluid push, energetic, and the back foot doesn't stay down. This is a habit you have to create. Yeah, Matt. So you see, like when it comes to distance is a little bit kind of a tricky subject to talk about, because we tend to look at distance as how far you need to come in, right? Instead of thinking when is really the right, and it's funny I said when now, right? But when is the right moment to execute your technique? Because and I think I talked about this in one of my latest videos that I posted, because I haven't really posted consistently lately, so I'm sorry for that. But if you attack, there's a sweet spot, right? Like if you attack, let me go into this camera. If you attack from here, there's high chances that your opponent is going to see that coming and deflect it, right? If you come in too close and you start coming from here, there's high chances, if you have a good opponent, that he can get you here, or there are high chances that he might do anything and then it's gonna get tangled up. It's not gonna be an ippon. So there has to be a sweet spot. But that sweet spot, I'm talking about it right now as if you are the one going, right? But a lot of times, and we're seeing this a lot in some of the ippon. Let's say this is you. You put pressure, and then as you put pressure, the opponent attacks, and then as you're coming in, you can throw your technique because you kind of already are in motion, so you can execute the technique and take advantage of the fact that your opponent is coming in, which is kind of what's happening right here. Let me catch up with some of this because I just saw thank you very much for passing by, and thank you very much for being a member and supporting the stream. You're saying FY there's some random ads during the stream. Sure, and doesn't lag when back to life. So when you come back, why is there ads? It shouldn't be ads, because I could insert ads into the stream, which I don't like to do, but they shouldn't. Okay, I'll look it up. Thank you for letting me know. That's awesome. So Discipline, you're saying looks like Red had a good read from the Harai Otoshi to know that he wasn't Rage for Men. And a lot of times this is just habit as well, right? Like just knowing your distance and, having that aim, I think aim is a good word for it, to just throw yourself and know how far you need to push. Because when we talk about range in Kendo, we tend to talk about it as if in, how far can I go, right? But someone can be within my range, but it might not be a right thing for me to attack. And at the same time, someone can get closer than what my optimal attack distance is, but I should be able to still adapt. And you gotta remember, there's not only the fact that you can attack in place, but you can also attack as you're going backwards. So we saw that earlier in an Ippon in the other video, right? The opponent, the person was coming in and he slid himself back and he attacked on the way back. If you're not practicing Hikiwasa again doesn't have to be after Tayatari, right? So if you're not practicing this in your Kendo, you're disregarding a big part of the opportunities that you could have against your opponent. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's something that normally, I guess, you're taught, you don't want to attack going backwards and stuff like that, but and something that it's been kind of hard for me to just change that mentality. But I'm gonna tell you, here in Japan, many dojos want to go, if I attack, and even if I'm about to come to Atari and the person is good, they start moving backwards before I get there, and then they can hit kote, they can hit do, they can hit men. So you start understanding okay, that you also have to be careful about when to attack, not only by the fact that they can counter you, but they can also kind of displace themselves and then attack you after you miss. So yeah, this is something that you want to, put in your repertoire and, build that up. So this is a good example for Zanshin, right? When you are attacking, you want to have good follow through, but going through doesn't mean just blindly walking by. You have to have a connection with your opponent, and you have to kind of anticipate where could they be. So maybe here White felt that there was a good contact, a good ippon, so maybe he just let go of that connection and he was more concerned about the ippon itself. I'm assuming, okay? But as he's turning back, that it seems that, he really was not expecting for him to be there. But you have to always try to keep that connection, trying to feel that, whatever happens, the opponent could be right there, so you always have to be ready. Again, Sanshin doesn't mean just going through. It's a mental awareness and a connection with your opponent. So it doesn't always look like just going through and all straightforward. You want to have that connection with your opponent. So sometimes I see people, when there are videos, I see people commenting on videos that, not good Sanshin because, the body didn't look straight, they didn't go through, and so on. But if you watch, a lot of times, even though the person didn't go with such a straight posture, the mental connection and the awareness and the kamae against that person is there. You always want to keep that in mind. Where's my opponent and what can I do to take care of the situation, whatever it might be. Make sense? Matt, thank you very much for becoming a member. Really appreciate it. Welcome to the team, and let me know if you have anything I can help you with. Paul, thank you very much. I saw some pictures from the tournament. I hope you guys did well. I wish I could have been there, but I am not in US at the moment. But if you guys come to Japan, let me know, okay? I'm here. Okay. Okay. We have to take a little bit of enjoyment here, because this is one of the Ega Sensei's brothers. So this is his older brother, right? And I really enjoy watching both of their kendo. So, oh my god, dude. Okay. So this is what I mean about having that mentality of continuation. You want to do one more technique and engage all the way to the end. Beautiful execution of kote men, in my opinion. Let's see what happens. Let's break it down here for a second. So red decides to put pressure and white stays in place, right? And decides to kind of diffuse a little bit of that pressure, get a better distance, goes back. Now, you got to remember that if you do something, you're also giving information away. So at this point, red put the pressure in. So in a sense, I feel that Ega Sensei understood a little bit of, how he's coming in. And for that reason, he engages himself, he engages the back foot, he's ready to go forward. He's putting himself a little bit of a distance there. And when red decides to come in, Ega Sensei, it's already on the center, right? So he deflects slightly the shinai, he protects himself, and immediately engages the back foot and sharply goes for that kote. He missed the kote, but he went straight for that man and got the ippon. It's also very good to point out the distance, right? So because red came in, Ega Sensei decides to do fumikomi in place for the kote and a very short fumikomi forward for that man and bring his body straight as soon as possible. So I know at the dojo when we practice kote men, we tend to do such a long run for these two techniques, but you also have to understand how to do it and how to practice it at a short distance. Very important. This is something that actually was happening to me last week at one of the university dojos that I practice in. And you see, red threw a technique, was a good attempt, right? But he missed it and he pulled the shinai out to the side, right? So maybe you get that feeling that you are kind of protected just because you have the shinai a little bit like this, but it's not really, it's a kind of false sense of safety. And White immediately went around the shinai to get that man. Beautiful technique. He executed almost like a kote kaeshi man, right? He didn't really quite catch the shinai, so he was at risk for that. But immediately being able to move the sword around to get that man, very well executed. Oh. Okay. I have a friend that he used to tell me that you always want to be relaxed as possible. And at the moment that you attack, you should feel like, electricity is going through your body. And if you manage to understand this and how to, and how to, if you manage to understand how to put this into your kendo, I think it's a great tool to have. Because if you approach somebody with a relaxed body, kind of slow, sometimes they don't perceive that as a threat. But then when you're in the right moment, the right position, you can attack and you can throw your technique full 100% and get a sharp impact that a lot of times they don't even see coming. So if you watch this, White puts a little bit of pressure. Let's watch it. So a couple more frames back, come on. Okay. So here, White puts a little bit of pressure with the body, not too much. He doesn't get a response. A lot of times this could mean that, this didn't quite register. And I think that's why White decides to start going in slowly. See, with a lot of control, keeping the kama as much as possible. And in the last second, very quickly, decides to come in for that kote. So he pretty much just sneak his way into the right distance for the kote and then immediately stretch over to do the kote. Right? Now, we were talking a little bit about Zanshin a little bit earlier, how, a lot of times we think of Zanshin as this motion of going through. And as we saw in that video, as we saw in that ippon, going through is not necessarily everything needed for Zanshin, right? You need to have a little bit more you need to have a mental connection. You have to have awareness. You need to have awareness there, right? If you watch here, he does the kote, right? He didn't quite close the distance after that, but then he is aware. You see, he moved his sword back. He was a little bit exposed, but he moved away. He dodged the sword, and then he dodged the sword again. So he is paying attention. He is there at this moment. So good Zanshin looks differently depending on the situation. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go through. I'm saying that even when you go or you don't go through, you always have to be mindful of what's happening and be ready. Maybe he had confidence that he got the ippon, but he still was present until the end. Oh, that was so risky. That was so risky. Wow. That was so risky, but at the same time, that was such a good interaction, right? So essentially, White overwhelmed Red, right? Wait, hold on. white overwhelmed red. And within all of this, this is something you have to, you can't really practice, right? Like you cannot really isolate this. But the main thing, the main skill, the main mindset you have to have in order to make this happen is that you have to always keep thinking that you're going to go forward, you're going to attack. Hope that makes sense. Guys, I'm gonna make a quick little break when it comes to the video because I want to ask something real quick. I was talking with Tosando, and I'm going to meet Kajitani-san next week, I believe. And Tosando has this plan of doing some. I'm gonna let you guys know here because you guys, you're in the stream, you're live, so I appreciate you, and maybe you can throw some ideas of what some of the things that you want. But Tosando wants to start doing something on what's it called, on the side of Kendo tourism, right? So I kind of pitched an idea to them a few weeks back, and I'm hopefully I'm making good connections with them, and we're going to discuss a little bit of that. So my idea is kind of having kind of like a Kendo vacation where you can bring family, right? Where things will be set up. So if you bring your loved one, kids, whatever, things will be organized where they can do maybe like a little tour while you do a 2-hour practice, and then you meet up and you do sightseeing together, stuff like that. But this is something that actually in the Discord server somebody mentioned that like Kendo Tips could organize a Kendo Kai, like a good Kendo Kai, Godo Geiko, whatever. So that's something that I had in my mind for a long time, and I'm kind of starting seeing a light of the possibility of making something like this happening. So when I was talking to Tosando, they told me that this is kind of how they do their business meetings, right? So like when a company does like an organized event for gathering, whatever, like maybe different companies, they choose like a resort type of thing. They do the conference, but they also have time to go spend time with their family. So this is my plan, this is my idea. And obviously I think Tosando is in a great position because they're in Kyoto. It's a very well sightseeing spot. It's a very good, famous and sightseeing spot, or maybe we can organize it somewhere outside of that. But if you have any ideas of anything that will make it more comfortable for you, especially if you have family, right? Like you would like to bring them. What will be some of the accommodations or things that you will have? So if you can send it to me here, you can also send them through the Discord server. You can message me privately there. The Discord link should be coming up. Wait, did I spell this right? I don't understand why this thing doesn't come out all the time. My butt is failing me. Okay, let me just share this real quick so before I forget, guys. But obviously, this is something that I will enjoy very much. This is something that I wish we had like years ago, right? I wish somebody would have had the initiative to do that. So I really want to work hard on making something like that happen. Okay, let me just put there's a Discord link here. Okay, and let me see if the member link will come up. Yeah, I don't think any links are gonna. Oh, okay, so the member link is coming up, but did I misspell Discord? I didn't. Okay, anyways, so yeah, guys, so if you have any ideas, any of those thoughts, let me know. I'll be meeting with them next week, and we'll be doing some videos and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a little pause I wanted to make. Anyways, let's keep watching a little bit more. This is so tense, right? That is such a good. That's such a good interaction. I'm gonna tell you what this reminded me of. Um, when I was training for my Golden, one feedback that a sensei gave me, because obviously it was right on the first trip I could take from COVID. It was the first test that I was able to find, so I really didn't have people to train with besides some people at the dojo, and they were like Nidan, Shodan, and no rank. And I sent a video to this sensei to give me feedback, and he told me the fight is boring, right? And what he meant with this is the fact that if you're in that engagement and the judges don't feel that entertained, they don't feel that there's anything interesting happening, then really there's nothing happening, right? There's no pressure, there's no communication, because when you have a good fight, when you have good kendoka that they are there really giving their best, you know that at any time there could be a nippon. And if you watch here, the whole time that this clip is shown, oh my God, there's something that's going to happen. And this is where you can see the tension. This is when you can see the interaction, the communication. Because at the moment where one of them loses it, then the other one takes advantage of it. And this is what I'm always looking for in my Jigeiko. That at every second, if somebody's watching it, it's like something's about to happen. Something's going to happen, right? It's not just, okay, I'm there, then we do suiceria. It's like, okay, now let's go back. No, even in that moment of suiceria, I want to give that feeling. So this is my goal for my kendo right now, right? And this is my goal after I got this comment. So I don't know if this is something that you would like to put in your set of goals, but I would recommend you to always kind of have something going on during your Jigeiko. It's very easy to become lazy. It's very easy to just, don't do anything. But instead, you should be able to always be looking for an opening, always wanting to make your opponent do something. I think you're going to get much better results in your test, shiai, and practice this way. And let's watch it one more time. So you see, red is kind of giving this little pressure, and white, even though he's standing up, he's standing in such a ready position that prevents red from just going. Now there's going to be a change of timing. You see, there's a little bit of change of timing there. Got a little bit of reaction, but not quite. Now white feels a little bit of pressure, so he has to do something, and there's such a good back and forth, right, between each of them, the shinai, the body, and then they both commit for a technique, because red was ready for the incoming and white has been preparing himself to going in. So at that point, red anticipates that motion of the man and goes in for that kote. He could have got 4 men, right? And both of them maybe would have deflected each other, or maybe one would have caught it. But he adapts the distance, the motion, and everything, and anticipates the men and goes for the kote. Very good timing, and caught him at a very good moment where he was pulling his hands back to bring the tip up. Yeah, like it's such a like you see, like he's like, yeah, that was good. Like he looks at his kote, he shows the kote, like, yeah, that was good. Oh, that was such a interesting. Let me watch this for a second. Such a sharp, very sharp strike, right? He hits it in such a nice way. And again, we can see a lot of the tension happening here. There's a lot of reactions and actions, right, from both sides. So here they both kind of come in and try to put pressure. Red dropped his Shinai, and immediately he's like, oh, maybe I'm not safe. So he kind of gets a little bit scared and gets a reaction. White comes in, he brings the sword back, and I think this is purely out of instinct, right? I think this was more of a, nobody was thinking at this point and going for a technique and get a nice kote. So this is something that I was discussing about practice lately, and is that during Jigeiko, you want to practice your timing, your pressure. You don't want to just blindly go for a technique, right? But you do want to focus on the strike at that moment, because you want to have a good understanding how to properly create a good impact. That being said, during your Jigeiko, you want to understand all of these interactions and have different ways of approaching your opponent to change the timing, using your body, using your sword, using your ki, all of these things in order to get a reaction and learn how to be ready with your footwork in order to attack. So you cannot neglect any part of your training, even kirikaeshi, right? Because in kirikaeshi, you should always aim to have a good strike. Even if you're not hitting the man, you should focus as if you're going for that man. And kakarigeko, all this stuff, you cannot neglect any of these parts, because they all come together at the moment of shinza and shiai. And you should put it all together during Jigeiko. For me, the difference between Jigeiko and Shiai, for example, is that in Jigeiko, I'm working to develop myself, where in Shiai, I am not thinking about what is it that I need to do right. I'm just thinking about the fight. I'm thinking about what can I do to put my Shinai on my opponent. But everything else should be the same, right? Like, you should approach with your good technique. They should create it from your kakarigeko, kirikaeshi, and Kihon Wasa, Kihon practice. And same thing with Shinza. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys have any questions. What I wanted to do is I wanted to stop at this ippon, and then we'll continue with the ippons from the next. In the next stream we'll continue the ippons. I'm still struggling with the timing when it comes to doing streams, but I do want to do 2 streams in the week. I want to do one for my evening, which will be your morning, depending if you're in US, and then one in the morning, which will be the evening for US, so I can catch different time zones and everybody can enjoy some of this stuff. The point with these streams is obviously to just share more Kendo information, and one big goal that I have with this channel is also to share more Kendo, to make Kendo a little bit more known. And at the same time, for people to start also enjoying Kendo more. And that's one of my goals that I have with the whole thing that I mentioned about Tosando. So if you guys have any questions, any advice, any feedback, feel free to send them my way. Again, if you would like to, the Discord and the member link are there. If you would like to become a member, the link's right there. Help me support the channel. And in the Discord server, you can message me and we can get organized if you would like me to help you out with anything. Guys, I'm gonna leave the stream until here. Shen, my God, you're coming in right as I'm leaving. So, but there were some nice ippons that I think you will enjoy if you wanna go and watch back some of this stuff. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for everybody being here, passing by. Again, you can contact me if I can help you with anything. And please share this channel with people, so that way, I get a little bit more popularity on this channel. We can make Kendo a little bit more accessible for people. Paul, thank you very much for passing by, and hopefully you enjoy some of the stuff. I hope to see you guys soon and practice with you guys. So take care, everybody. You guys have a good week if you're starting your week, and get some good Kendo practice, okay? Take care, guys. Have a good one.